hello to you all in the future. So my name's Alex, and thank you for joining Character Scotland's Character Day question and answer. And we're totally thrilled to be part of this global celebration. My colleague David Lorimer will actually be leading on this session, and David is the founder of Character Scotland's signature classroom character and values program called Inspire&Aspire. So this program's reached nearly 100,000 young people in 58 countries during the last 3 years, which has been a really good achievement for us. And during the session, David will introduce what the program is, how we've gone about it, explain how teachers use it as a learning and teaching tool, and how young people take the first steps towards finding an early purpose in their life as they navigate a pathway through school. So that's what we're planning on covering in this session. I'll be monitoring Twitter for any questions people might have, so just use the hashtag Character Day, and I'll try and pick that up and pose them to David. But otherwise, I'll let David get started. So feel free to join in the online conversation, and yeah, we look forward to hearing from you all. All right, over to you, David.
Thanks very much, Alex. Well, I'll just explain a little bit about the origins of the program to begin with. I got the idea originally from Sir John Templeton, who had a program called the Laws of Life Essay Contest. And this consisted of young people writing an essay about something significant that had happened to them, or a significant person they'd met, and what kind of law of life they drew from that experience. So it might be, for instance, that they should be glad to be alive, they should be more grateful for things that were happening to them, they should be glad they had so many good friends, or whatever. And I tried to reproduce this program in the UK, but it didn't work particularly well. And so eventually I came up with the idea of a 3-page poster which took the students through a process. And there are 3 pages to this. The first page is where they explore their qualities and strengths. And so they say what they are good at and what they need to work on in a series of boxes where we put, let's say, 7 adjectives into each box. The exact format depends on which one we're actually doing, because we have a generic version, we have an Olympic version, we have a Commonwealth Games version, which is what Alex was talking about, and we have a World War I version, which we've been piloting in the last couple of years. And so the first page, as I say, is about qualities, and then we also ask people to cite an inspirational story or a war poem, if it's the latest one, and then they go on to look at inspiration, which is page 2. So they select an inspirational figure, or in the case of World War I, it might be an inspiring story, someone like Edith Cavell and the effect she had with her extraordinary intervention in rescuing people. And then there's a space at the bottom for inspirational quotations. And then page 3, there's aspiration. And here they answer a series of questions, and ones that we had for our latest one, just been revised though, are what kind of person do you want to be, what do you want to achieve in your life, what's your vision for a better world, and how are you personally going to bring that vision to life. And so the students go through this very simple process with the help of our website, www.inspire-aspire.org.uk, and we then get the best entries back from schools, because we work directly with schools, and then we have a judging process whereby we select the best in the schools, we select the best in the country, with the help of distinguished judges, and then we have an award ceremony where the students' work is exhibited, and then they come with parents and teachers to celebrate their work. And we then produce a magazine and sometimes books of the content. So that's the basic concept, and it's something, as Alex said, that we've been reaching out into the Commonwealth over the last couple of years, and we're hoping to link up with the Australian Gold Coast Commonwealth Games coming up in 2018 as well.
David, what What do you think the general feedback we get on the program is in the classroom from pupils and teachers?
Well, we get really fantastic feedback every year. And what we have on the back, we have a feedback form or feedback uh, format, asking what people learned from the program and asking for teachers' comments. The sort of main comments we get back are to do with really having thought about themselves and their qualities for the first time. That they never asked themselves what kind of person they were, what kind of person they wanted to be, what their strengths were, what they needed to work on. And so they've got an agenda to take forward. And then also the effect of the inspirational figure is very powerful. If they research Gandhi or Martin Luther King, or Sir Steve Redgrave, famous Olympic athlete, then they realize that what it takes for someone to become who they became. So that, for instance, Nelson Mandela didn't start off as how he finished. There was a huge process to Nelson Mandela becoming the iconic figure that he was towards the end of his life. And so they begin to realize that what it takes to actualize your true potential. And then in the third area, we really help people. They say, well, help me define my goals and also my vision for a better world, and gave me a sense that I could contribute something. And this is something which I find essential to the program as a whole, that we are giving young people a sense of empowerment, a sense that they can actually make a difference with their lives.
And what do you think makes Inspire/Aspire unique as a character education resource?
Well, I think what the exercise does is it actually elicits from young people what they didn't know they already knew. And so it's what one could call a tacit knowledge, that they have a tacit knowledge of what is then made explicit in the poster process. So I think so it also helps them understand and think about their qualities, the qualities of character, which you can relate to the via strengths and virtues, and you can also relate it to the film that's just being launched today. There are two films being launched, and the one on the adaptable mind, for instance, where you ask the question, what does it take for young people to thrive in a fast-moving, fast-changing society? I would say that our exercise also contributes to the development of these qualities of creativity, initiative, empathy, curiosity, and multidisciplinary thinking. And I think there's also resonance with the Musar and the other film, What is a Mensch, in the sense that what we're all trying to do, I think, is to become fully human and fully ourselves, and to be able to do something that is of value to the world. And I can also show you just here an example of the poster, so that you can see this is what the actual front looks like. If I make it a little bit further away, you can see that. And then if you open it up, then you've got these 3 pages. Take it quite far away. So the one next to my head is the qualities, and then the middle bit is the inspirational figure, and I think it's Malala in this case. And then the other side you can see is the aspiration, and then on the back you have feedback. And that gives you an idea. You can access these posters on our podium section of the website, www.inspire-aspire.org.uk podium, and you can see the results from around the Commonwealth and for yourselves, and see what extraordinary creativity comes out of young people when they ask themselves these important questions.
David, we've got a question on Twitter from Elaine. She's asking, does the program work effectively in other cultural contexts in the Commonwealth?
Yes, well, as far the feedback I talked about just now, and we do actually get that feedback from all over the world, and so it was particularly heartening, I think, for our team to realise that young people all around the world could relate to the program, regardless of their background.
And and why do you think it's so important for young people to identify their strengths at such a young age? Because obviously we do the program from an early age of 10 to 11 years old. So why do you think it's important to speak about character strengths at that early age?
Well, I think it was very interesting because this is something we discovered on the process, as it were, that originally I thought that the exercise could be done by sixth formers. And then we brought it down to sort of 12 to 14-year-olds. And then we got notes from, and talking to primary school teachers, and they wanted to do it as well. And it's incredible the maturity that you get from some of these even 7 to 9-year-olds. I think that to answer your question, the process is important in terms of self-awareness and self-knowledge, and beginning to think about what you want to do with the time, which is life. And in a sense, you can't start this process, young enough. Although I think probably sort of 8 to 9 is really as young as one can profitably be thinking about these things. But then it very much depends upon the maturity of the young person concerned.
And do you have this is a nice light question, but what's your most memorable piece of work which you've read over the journey?
Goodness, that's almost impossible to answer. I think there was a striking one quite early in the process from a girl from a school in Edinburgh, and the thing that I was incredibly moved by was that she said that in her reflection, she asked, well, who will be the inspirations for people in 100 years' time? And her answer was it would be us. It would be people like her who had done something worthwhile, made something of themselves, and contributed to the world. And so she didn't see why she couldn't be just as inspiring as her role models, which in fact was the African Children's Choir. So I think we quite often get feedback from, or even statements from young people, where they say that they want to be a role model themselves. I just find that incredibly inspiring. But it's just the whole process of seeing children's work, and seeing them define themselves, meeting them, and it's something that I know that the team are inspired by the work. I'm inspired by the work. The judges are inspired by the work, and the people who come and present our prizes, they're also inspired by the work.
And how is impact being measured? So obviously all these young people are doing this program, so I guess the question of impact needs to be raised.
Absolutely. I mean, we started by getting this qualitative feedback, which we get every year, and we collate that. And then more recently, we've been engaged with Montclair University, who are looking more systematically at the effects of the program in order to work out, more rigorously the effects that the program actually have by having a control group and seeing whether there's any development of character comparable in the control group as compared with the people who've been through the program. So we're still waiting for the results on that preliminary year, which is last year, and then we'll be working with Montclair University up to 2018, and they'll be researching the program more in depth.
And for the young people who do the program, what next for them? They obviously go through the process, they complete the work. Some of them attend the awards ceremony. So what's the hope for them after they've identified their vision for a better world?
Well, obviously this is only a step on the way, but if we can help young people become more aware of themselves, help them to define their goals and purpose, then that's a start. And then one needs to move on to other developmental pathways and programs. And I think this is probably something that we're still in the process of developing. We have a colleague who is developing a series of apps so that people can join in and have something to follow up on. And we're hoping to trial that in the next few months. And otherwise, there are all sorts of other books. There's a few books that we recommend, but it's very much work in progress. And I'd like to be involved in further programs to help young people go forward.
Yeah, I've just noticed a statement on Twitter. I'm not really sure if it's in reference to this chat, David, but it's an interesting one. Do you see stronger character strengths as opposed to others in this generation? Grit is always emphasized, but do you see it?
Do you see grit? Well, that's interesting. I mean, that raises the wider question of the relationship between what's called performance virtues by the Jubilee Centre, and this is Jubilee Centre for Character and Virtues in Birmingham University, and moral virtues. And I think the main point that they make is that unless the performance virtues such as grit, determination, resilience, and so on are underpinned by moral virtues such as integrity, honesty, and so forth, then you can have somebody being a very determined or very persistent criminal. And so this puts the emphasis on moral virtues being absolutely critical in the whole character education process.
Yep. And so if schools wanted to apply to take part in the program, what's the process for them? For any interested teachers watching this Q&A.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, well, or later on delay.
I think the best thing is just to go to our website and the teacher section on the website. It's inspire-aspire.org.uk, and you can also have a look around the pupils area of the site, where you can see how the pupils actually go about it, because we have an electronic version of the poster template which can be downloaded. So students can do that themselves, teachers can download that, and so really people can participate wherever they are in the world.
And is there an element of the program where schools can connect with one another and share their resources, share each other's resources to learn from one another's learning experiences?
Absolutely, and we're preparing some materials at the moment to help teachers, and we have set up quite a number of exchanges between schools, and indeed some schools already have exchange arrangements, for instance with schools in Africa. And so that the program can be used as another form of exchange, and so that people can see each other's work and understand what it's like to have a life in a completely different context.
Brilliant. So there's another question coming up on Twitter. So how can character be taught at home? Quite an interesting one.
Well, that's a very big question. I think the main thing, and it applies at school as well, is the parent's example. And I know Albert Schweitzer said there are only three ways of changing the world. The first is example, second is example, and the third, you've guessed it, it's example. And of course that means that you have to have integrity yourself as a teacher and as a parent, so that you can model what you're talking about, rather than being in the awkward situation of do as I say, not do as I do. So I think example is very, very important. And of course, their character is developed just in everyday situations, which arise in the home. I mean, an early example would be, sharing. Very young children learn to share things, and at the same time they're developing a sense of justice. And all sorts of situations arise where there is a better thing to do or a worse thing to do in response to the situation.
There's another one from Elaine. I think she asked the Commonwealth question. Do you think this program will work in the context of international schools?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, I've recently been in contact with some international schools with just this aim, and so if we can get it trialed in some international schools or international baccalaureate schools, then so much the better. I mean, I don't see why it shouldn't be just as effective as we've found it in all sorts of schools.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Just looking at the time, that's our 20 minutes lost up, more or less, David. So just if you obviously wanted to have any closing comments, and I think we'll probably wrap it up after that.
Yes, well, we're very excited to be part of this day and the reach into thousands of schools worldwide, and so we'd like to build on the contacts we have already. And if anybody would like to get in touch with us and with a view to learning more about the program, then we'd love to hear from you. And I hope you all have a really good day. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Thanks, guys. Bye.